Okay. We're going to use the traditional definition that comes from John Kabat-Zinn, paying attention in a particular way, on purpose, as opposed to by accident or by distraction. Attention to our intention. I intend to pay attention to this moment, to this person, to this device. That's okay. But I intend to do it. It doesn't just happen by accident. In the moment, balancing awareness and intention. All of you, all of us, we grew up, what's one of the things that the teachers would always say?
Pay attention.
Pay attention.
Pay attention!
Mm-hmm.
Pay attention!
Be present.
Maybe. I never heard, I wish I'd heard that as a kid.
Pay attention.
I heard lots of pay attention. I didn't hear a whole lot of be aware. The assumption was that, well, how did you not know? Why were you not aware of that? Because I was paying attention to this. So we think of attention and awareness as two different things. And they are. But we have to have a balance of them, as opposed to the way we all grew up and what we tell our own children, if we have them, is pay attention, but be aware. So think of the balance of awareness and attention. That's how you are in the present moment. And non-judgmentally. We're going to spend some time on this later on, because this gets a lot of conflicted understanding, especially for business people, because you pay me for my judgment. That's why I'm here. It's for the benefit of my judgment. So of course you should, how could, non-judgmentally? Suspending emotional reaction. That's what non-judgment means. It's the ability to experience something and not react emotionally. It's managing the moment between perception and reaction, which is a little tricky. But before we say more about what mindfulness is, let me be really clear about what mindfulness is not. And this is where business people get confused. It is not accepting the unacceptable. You were supposed to get this done today, you didn't do it today. The mindful reaction is, that's okay. No, it's not. Accepting what's unacceptable is not mindful. Excusing accountability or ducking responsibility is not mindful. People have this image of mindfulness as tolerating whatever happens, and whatever you do, it's okay, and I'm okay, you're okay. No, that's not what mindfulness is. Mindfulness is not ignoring the lessons of the past. It's not failing to plan for the future. Being in the moment requires you to reflect on what happened before and be thinking about what's happening ahead so that you can be in the moment. A lot of times people do one or the other. They focus on the past or they get lost in the future. But it's not either of those. It's not surrendering your point of view. Being mindful doesn't mean that you don't debate. It doesn't mean you're not passionate. Being mindful is not making a decision. I work with a CEO who gets hung up on this. Mindfulness means going and meditating and deep reflection and not making a decision. That's not what it means. And it's not inaction when you need to act. So I think these are important points to make because a lot of people misunderstand it. Mindfulness improves immune system and physical health. Positive emotion, ability to focus, likelihood of helping someone in need, optimism in relationships. There's a lot of experiences with that, and you don't have to believe us because all of these different organizations have been doing the research on it. 2016 had a dozen articles from Harvard Business Review on mindfulness. The 5 years before that, they had 5. 2016 was the year of mindfulness, which is why we read about it, which is why you're here, right? It's why part of what we're doing, People are becoming aware of it because the research is there. It's a real thing. In the science of mindfulness, so that's your brain. That's your brain on mindfulness. through practices of meditation and body scanning, and you practice some of these today, it stimulates the parts of the brain that reduce the stress response. So when you are in a meditation, you're not just meditating for the moment. I'm going to meditate today because I'm really stressed right now. Well, that's helpful too. But the practice and the discipline of meditation builds your ability to deal with a stressful moment when you're not meditating. And that's probably the most powerful, important aspect to realize, and why I tell my friends, I coach my colleagues, why should you do these things? It's not because it's just going to help you in the moment. It's that when you have the discipline and the practice of mindful practices, not just meditation, but the others, you increase your brain's ability to deal with the stressful moment. You increase your ability to avoid mindless reaction. What is mindless reaction? I see it, I react. We're wired that way. And why are we wired that way, do you think?
Survival, I
Yes,
guess.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. By big monster, lots of teeth, it's coming to eat me, I run.
Right, yeah. I don't stop.
Yeah. Or I will fight. That's what that is. And what do they call that? And you know that you know.
Fight or flight.
Fight or flight, absolutely. The sympathetic nervous system gets going because you are under attack. You're going to maybe die. And that was really helpful back when that was what life was. And it's also very helpful today. I'm crossing the street, I'm not paying attention, there's a car. Good thing. So it serves us today. But most of the time, not so much. I'm running late. I'm going to be late for this meeting. That's going to be embarrassing. I'm going to miss something. That's your conscious brain that says that, right? Well, here's what your unconscious brain says. Your unconscious brain doesn't stop. It then says, I'm going to be late, I'm going to look bad. I'm going to look bad, so I'm not going to get a good performance review. I'm not going to get a good performance review, so I'm not going to get a raise. I'm not going to get a raise, and I'm going to have less money. In fact, I might even lose my job, and if I lose my job, I can't pay my rent. If I can't pay my house, I have no place to live, and then I'm going to die. You just went from being late to a meeting to dying. Like that.
Who was late today? Who was late today?
Right? And you don't even know. You don't know. You said, why am I so stressed? I'm late for a meeting. How important is it really? Is it really that important? No. So why am I so stressed? It's because you have had this happen. Just like we all do. So the goal is, and we're moving this quickly, and we'll probably spend some more example times on it. I would ask you to share with me examples from your life than you would to make it more real. But for time's sake, from mindless action to mindless reaction to mindful action. Mindless reaction was perceive and react. Mindful action is the discipline in your mind to go from perceiving it to observing it to making a choice and then acting. It's very different. In your manual, you can see drivers of mindless reaction. See the list there?
So in order to observe it, you must remove yourself from the situation.
Yes, and I'm going to modify that just a little bit. It's not so, remove yourself is a very powerful word. Think of it as just a little step back. So it sounds like I'm tweaking it, but I am. Because when I say remove yourself from the situations, people say, I can't do that.
Yeah.
I care too much. Part of mindfulness is being able to care and let go enough Not let go, done. Let go, enough. To create that space to observe and see it for what it is. I was late to the meeting today. So, did I miss anything? No. Am I going to get into trouble? No. Oh. So I choose not to be stressed. Powerful to realize that you can choose to be, because you can choose to be stressed, and that's okay. Because I just found out I'm going to be late for the most important meeting of my life, literally. Get stressed. Break traffic laws. Go for it, because it matters that much. But most things in life don't. But we treat them as if they do. And that's the key. That is the key to stimulating the parasympathetic nervous system, not, as my wife was saying, the sympathetic nervous system, fight, flight. Because what happens when the fight, flight kicks in? Do you know? What happens to you physically? Your heart rate goes up, yes. Your adrenaline kicks in.
And your logic shuts down.
Logic goes to survival mode. All the blood, by the way, centralizes in the cavities of your body. Your vision narrows.
You get sick.
And you will get sick if you stay there long enough.
Your breathing will get shallow.
Yes.
Chris,
Yeah.
but it's not about eliminating stress, it's about being able to deal with it. Because if you don't have the adrenaline, and it happens all the time, and somebody was asking me last week for a conference that there were 200 people. So the person says, don't you get stressed about delivering that conference? And I said, of course I do. Because if I don't have that adrenaline, then I'm not going to perform at my best. So it's a big issue, because some people say, no, you have to eliminate that, and adrenaline is there for a reason.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So it's not about, because you can't, if you treat something to be less than what it really is, well, now you're being foolish, right? Well, it's not really important. It is important. So if it is important, treat it as if it's important. And you're right, adrenaline is fuel. If I channel it, it's back when I used to teach public speaking. I would teach, because you always watch people who do this when they're public speaking, where they'll do this, or they'll move without any control as a public speaker. And you want to say, will you stop moving? Why are you doing that? It's because their adrenaline's not being managed. As opposed to making big motions or big moves or raising their voice. That's intentional use of the energy of the adrenaline. So that's the key. So you're absolutely right. When you say to people, well, just relax. Who appreciates being told that? Nobody, right? Say, oh, just relax. Oh, shut up. Right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, don't tell me just to relax. But help me think about how to use that energy to make it more powerful and magnify the effect it has. That is useful. And it has the intention that we want. So back to your workbook very quickly. The drivers of mindless reaction